revision nonetheless is obviously good. But before commencing with wudu, yesterday we discussed the rulings of a large amount of water and a small amount of water, 2 qullas, which is about approximately 270 liters. When we said that anything less than 270 liters, which is considered a small amount of water in our fiqh now, the minute najasa comes in contact with this amount of water, less than 2 qullas, less than 270 liters, the water automatically becomes najis, even if it doesn't change in color, taste or smell. While a large sum of water, if najasa comes in contact, it doesn't necessarily render it najis until or unless it changes in color, taste or smell. And I forgot to mention an example, a practical daily example, that is our washing machines. So our washing machines doesn't hold 270 liters of water, which means that when the water comes in contact with anything that is najis inside, we have to be sure that it cleanses or it washes away the najasa. If the najasa remains on the clothing after the wash, that means that the clothing or the najasa soiled all of the water. And I hope everyone's getting what I'm saying, and I don't mind repeating. So we said that in order to clean something, if there's najasa on this desk, I'm going to pour some water on. Obviously, the amount of water I'm going to use is not going to be 270 liters. I'll maybe use 1 liter, 2 liters of water, wallahu alam, but I'll pour some water on the najasa. In order for this to be clean, the water has to wash away all of the najasa. If there's any traces of the najasa, or I need to use a second bottle of water, that place is dirty, and all the water that runs there from becomes dirty, right? So with the washing machine, we have two issues with the washing machine. The one thing is that the water is not in its pure state because we added Omo, Stay Soft, and all of these things. What saves us is that what the washing machines generally do is that it does the first wash with the Stay Soft, Omo, and all of those things. Then it drains the water, and then it fills the washing machine again with fresh water. And so that second intake of water, that's what saves us. The first wash would not save. If we were to restrict the washing machine, that's on condition that there's obviously najasa clothing in. If the clothing is just sweat and all of those, normal marks, whatever the case may be, it's fine. But we're talking about clothing that has najasa on. If we were to restrict the washing machine wash to only the first wash with the Stay Soft and those things, it will not be considered clean ritually. It might be considered clean physically, and it smells nice and all of those things, but I cannot perform salah in those clothing. It's not clean ritually. The only thing that's going to clean something ritually is pure water in its pure state. So that's the first thing with the washing machine. Alhamdulillah, the second intake of water saves us. The second thing about the washing machine is that it's not 2 qullas. So we have a small sum of water coming in contact with najasa, or possibly coming in contact with najasa. So we need to ensure that it washes away all of the najasa. Now what happens, what could potentially happen, and this is something we need to be wary of, is that I could have had a blister or a pimple or something on my back or whatever the case may be, and it left a blood stain on my vest or on my t-shirt. And generally if I notice it immediately and I wash that blood stain away, you will get rid of it. But if that blood stain stays too long, I think there's almost nothing that will remove that blood stain. So now you have a t-shirt with najasa on. So those things are ma'fu'an, it's overlooked for salah. A small blood stain on my t-shirt, overlook, my salah is intact. We will get to that in the chapter of salah. So we don't have to worry about that. The concern comes in when it comes in contact with the water that's in the washing machine. Ideally, we should check what we are throwing into the washing machine. I personally don't wash my son's clothes without clothes because you don't know what's going on in their underwear. You need to first wash something before. So just to be safe, I throw our clothes in and I'll throw the children's clothes in later after checking. But nonetheless, I just want to point that out, that the washing machine amount of water is less than 2 qullas, which means that if there's najasa clothing in there, to save the headache or to save anything, get rid of the najasa, and then throw it into the washing machine. Get rid of the najasa with our hand, and then throw it into the washing machine. Another thing that would probably be common for men would be what we call madhi or wadi. So in the Shafi'i madhab, mani, which is sperm, is not considered najasa. Sperm is actually clean, pure. But madhi, which is a moistness before, a moistness that comes out at the time of arousal, or wadi is something that comes out after one urinates. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes after lifting something heavy, something might come out. Sometimes after we urinate, there's a substance that comes out. That is wadi, and the other one is madhi. Those two substances are considered najis, unlike sperm. If those things are on a male's jockey, I mean, these are awkward things to discuss, but for fiqh, we don't shy away from these things because we need to know how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if those things are on a man's jockey, ideally get rid of it with some water before throwing it into the washing machine. If we throw it into the washing machine, it's quite fine also, if we are sure that the washing machine is going to get rid of any traces or any traces of the najasa. So we will just quickly read through the 6 points of wudu, and then we'll elaborate on 1, 2, 3 points in the next dars, inshallah. So he says that, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Furudul wudu is sittatun. So the fard parts of wudu are 6. Al-awwalu an-niyya. The first fard part of wudu is the intention. Al-thani ghuslul wajh. The second is the washing of the face. And we know that is from where the hairline starts, or supposed to start, until underneath the chin, and from earlobe to earlobe. Ghuslul yadayn. The third, al-thalith, ghuslul yadayn ma'al mirfaqayn. Washing of the hands until and above the elbow. Now, the washing of the hands is done as a sunnah act when starting wudu. This doesn't mean that we do not have to wash it at the time when we actually reach the fard part. Even if I did the sunnah act of washing my hands, rinsing my hands before starting wudu, part of the arm is from the tip of the fingers right up until above the elbow. The fourth is mashu shay'in min al-ra's, to wipe something of the hair. Ideally, you can do the whole hair and come back, which is the sunnah way. But what is the least amount for the validity of the wudu is just to wipe something of the hair. Al-khamis, ghaslu al-rijlayn ma'al ka'bayn, to wash the feet from the tip of the toes in between the toes until and above the ankles. And the last is the tartib, is the sequence in which I did it in. If I did everything perfectly, but I washed my feet first and then my head, and then this will obviously not be considered. So those are the 6 fard parts of wudu. I'll touch on the one very quickly, which is the first one, which is the niyyah. The niyyah is qasdu shay muqtarinan bi fi'lihi wa mahalluha al-qalb. The niyyah is to intend the act at the time that I start the act. If I made intention to start wudu, I'm going to take wudu, and then I spoke to someone, and then I happened to wipe my face with water, and I say, okay, but I didn't intend wudu. No. At the time that I wash my face, I need to intend. This is the fard of wudu, etc. And then I wash my face. وَمَحَلُّهَا الْقَلْبِ. And the place of the niyyah is in the heart. Should we recite the niyyah with our tongue? Yes. The tongue assists the heart. Al-lisan yusa'idu al-qalb. The tongue assists us to be conscious of what we are doing. But the actual place of the niyyah is the heart. So why is that important to know? If my tongue happens to contradict what's in my heart, this is now at the time of wudu, at the time of salah, the niyyah is in the heart. So I say, I know in my heart I'm about to perform the fard salah of Fajr, 2 rak'ats, etc. But my tongue says dhuhr. Salah is valid. Salah is fine. Why? Because the place of the niyyah is the heart. So even if the tongue slips and contradicts what's in the heart, it's the niyyah and the act is valid as long as what is in my heart was the correct act. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us the tawfiq to understand and practice. Amen, inshallah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. ربنا زدنا علما وارزقنا فهما. اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها مولاها. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.